Hi friends, my name is Maylin and welcome back to my channel. I am a flutist, music teacher, and performer located in the city of Toronto, Canada, and this is my beginner series where you learn how to play the flute from scratch. So thank you so much for joining me again here today. And in this video we're going to be learning about ties and eighth notes. So thank you again for joining me. If you do have any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. Also, if you do have any issues practicing, I do have a practice guide that I made, and it is for free, so you feel free to check that out in the link in the description down below. So thank you so much again, and let's just get started. So as usual, we'll be using my favorite book here, the Trevor Wise Beginner book. And today we're going to be going through two pages. We're actually going from the bottom of page 10 to page 11. So the first thing we're going to look at is ties. So I'm going to put up the little excerpt that Mr. Roy writes right here. So I'm just going to read it here. When two notes of the same name are connected with a curved line, their values are added together to make one continuous note. The line is called a tie. So instead of just having two notes separately, you're actually going to hold the note for a total of 8 beats rather than 4 in this case. So that would sound like, for example, if we're looking at this one, so I'll count this in so you can hear what it sounds like. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I was doing is I was actually counting each beat in my head. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a great way to kind of visualize some long tones for when you're warming up. So if you're warming up the first time today, try and play this exercise. It can be a little bit faster, so like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then once you have more of a capacity to have that breath, so it's all about building up those muscles, those internal muscles, then you can start bringing down the tempo and seeing how long you can actually hold those 8 beats for. So you can do this by using a metronome. So you can actually just Google search metronome, and there's one that will pop up, or I have one on my phone actually. I think it's literally just called metronome or pro metronome. That's what I'm using. And I would start with so I would start at around 90 beats per second. So that means a quarter note equals 90. And then try and hold that and see if you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 while playing that. And then see how that goes. And if you feel like you're not quite there yet, you could always make it a little bit faster. So that means there's less time that you need to hold that breath. But again, slowly try to expand it so that the notes that you hold are a little bit longer than the day before, and that'll actually help to build up your muscles and everything like that. So great. So now that we've done that, let's look at the next exercise here. Okay, so going on to page 11 now. So right at the top of the page, we actually have a little explanation about 4/4. So I'm going to read that out. So far you've played in 4/4 time. So 4 quarter beats or quarter note beats in a bar. This is sometimes called common time, most commonly called common time, in fact, and is marked with a C instead of 4/4. Notice that the first beat of a bar always seems more important. It should therefore have a slight stress. So what Mr. Y is talking about here is strong and weak beats, essentially. So in 4/4 time, the first beat is always the strongest, and the second beat's weak. The third beat is like medium, and then the fourth beat is also weak. So you always have that emphasis on the first beat of every single measure. It just kind of helps to give you the feeling of the time that you're playing in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do it just like we do all of our other exercises here. So first we're going to take a look at it. So again, we already know it's in 4/4 time. And then we're going to do our clap and count. So let's go through this together. I'm going to count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, very good. And then before we start, just take a look at where we want to take some breaths, and if you need any reminders for anything that might be a little bit tricky coming up. So what I see here, we have 3 different breath marks. So try your best to play within those breath marks, and then take the breaths only when you see the marks. If you can't do it right away, that's totally okay. But that's the goal. The goal is always to work towards what is written on the page. And then we also have some quarter rests in there as well on the 1, 2, 3, 4th bar and last bar. And then we have slurs over almost all the notes here, but all separately. Okay, so I'm going to play it for you now, just so you can get a sound of what it is in your ear. And then you can try it by yourself. Of course, if you do have any issues with reading the notation, just pause the video, take a few seconds to write down the note names if you need them, and then you can try it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. I hope that you enjoy practicing that. And now we're going to move on to the next part of this video. So we see that 8th notes, also known as quavers, equal to 2. So 2 8th notes equal 1 quarter note. So essentially, if you split a quarter note in half, you would get those 2 8th notes. Okay, so underneath here we have 3 different exercises. So I'm going to introduce to you number 4 first. So I'm just going to go through the first one. It's 4/4. So you can see here, we're going to take a look. It's 4 measures long. We have some 8th notes in that first bar, of course, and then we have 8th notes in the 4th bar as well. So if you take a look at what Mr. Y did here to help us, he actually wrote out the counting underneath all the 8th notes. So that should help us subdivide and figure out how to get the right note values for the 8th notes. So I'm going to count this one a little bit slower so you can really feel where the 8th notes are landing within those beats. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this might be a little bit tricky when you first start it. So what you can do is listen to this a few times and then try and do it by yourself. So now that we've counted and clapped, feel free, if you feel like this is still a little bit too fast for you, you can actually go down into the settings of the video and make it a little bit slower, so that it might help you to figure out where to line up your claps with the beats. And again, you feel free to use the metronome as well. So if you feel like you need to go a little bit faster, a little bit slower, you just use that method to help you keep the beat. Okay, so I'm going to play it for you. So this is meant just for the rhythm, so it's all one note. And again, I'm going to take it at a very similar speed to how we clapped it. And then you can try and play it by yourself. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... Okay, so try that out and see how that works. And then to end off our lesson today, we're going to be learning a new song that's called Snakes. So here we have, if you take a look at it right here, you can see it's in 2/4, so finally something that's not in 4/4. We'll see if there's anything a little bit tricky. So this one I think is a little bit tricky just because it has a lot of similar fingerings, but then it changes it in the second half. So see if you can see any interesting patterns there for yourself. And then what we're gonna do, of course, is count and clap as always. So 1, 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, 2. Yeah, so this one's pretty straightforward. This one I would highly suggest writing down the note names, especially because it is different from the first half to the second half. Okay, and then don't forget that there are slurs. So the slurs are for every single measure when it comes to those eighth notes. So make sure you slur all 4 notes together and tonguing the very first one. Okay, so I'll play it for you so you can get it in your ear, and then you can try it out by yourself. So 1, 2, and... Okay, so this one again might be a little bit tricky when you first start off, so feel free to slow it down again, so maybe even to a tempo that's 1 and 2 and da 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 da. That might help. So try that, and then once you feel comfortable with that, then of course then you can start speeding up. Speed it up very incrementally. So let's say we're starting off at that tempo, that slower tempo. So that tempo would be around 58 to 60. So quarter note equals 58 to 60. And have this in the background so you can see if you can keep account with that. So just to recap, we've learned about ties and eighth notes today. In the next video, we'll actually be learning a new note. So that note will be C, and then also about eighth rests. So thank you so much again for joining me here today. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. Also, if you are enjoying these videos, please feel free. I haven't asked this before, but please subscribe. And if you don't want to miss any of my videos, you can also click the little notification bell that pops up right beside it. I do have a little bit of space left for online lessons. So feel free to check me out at www.maylinjenkins.com for that information. And again, if you do have any issues practicing, check out my practice guide, my free practice guide in the description just down below. So thank you so much, everyone, and happy fluting!